Hey guys! Today I'm going to be talking about the topic of self-care and its importance to those of us that are struggling with mental health within our lives. Self-care can make all the difference, from the bare minimum things that are just helping us to do our daily routine to the more luxurious things if we have the energy to expend to be able to do those. In the spirit of self-care, I have my nice blanket on, I have my Simba, my plushie, because sometimes you do have to surround yourself in those things in your own space and just be comfortable in your own space. And I guess that takes us to the beginning, where there may be days where you have the most minimal of energy, the most minimal of motivation to get yourself out of bed, to leave your room, those kind of days. And we all have those kind of days. I've had them myself, and on those days, the self-care that is most important to you is things like taking your medication on time and just taking solace in being in your own space, because on days where the mental illness, the voices in your head, your own demons, they're stopping you from being able to feel good about yourself, and you feel like you may even be a danger to yourself, or you aren't able to build yourself up to being around other people, then those are the days where, yes, it's important to talk to people, but it may not be best for you to be in work, it may not be best for you to be in your university or whatever it is that you have on that day. So on those days, it's advisable, I would say, to call and have a mental health day. Hopefully your work is supportive of such things. If not, I can link to some legislation that says that they are allowed. You are allowed mental health days here in Scotland. They aren't as frequent or as accepted as they are in places like New Zealand, and I definitely think we should be heading along that trajectory, but we aren't quite there yet. But just make sure that you take some time for you, take some solace in your own space, and if you can, just work yourself up to being able to take your medication on time, be able to have your own shower, just get yourself in your own space as comfortable as you can. Take solace in blankets, plushies if you can. I have plenty of these, obviously. Simba being my most comforting. I've had him since I was a child. That's another thing you can do, something really comforting, is putting on maybe a film that you've loved when you were a child, a sort of classic, really harmless comfort film. Glee is a really comfort program for me. It's got no material that I find particularly triggering, because I've seen it before as well. I know what to expect, so there's that kind of level of comfortability. Even silly, fluffy films, things like Wild Child, I put on the other day just to kind of relax myself and just ease myself into the day. So things like that can really help for the bare minimum days. If you're feeling up to slightly more, like I said, take a shower, making sure that you're taking care of yourself, maybe a skin routine if you have such a thing. And I've been reminded recently by shows such as Queer Eye that those sort of things, it's not vanity, it is self-care, and it's important to recognize the difference there, because you're taking care of yourself, you're giving yourself, a busy human being that is dealing with so many external things in work as well as so many internal things like your own mental illness, and you're giving yourself a little time for you. So for that person, your appearance might be quite important, and even if you are just staying in your house all day, doing a little bit of a skin routine or something that's going to make yourself feel a little better, if you can, take a shower, run yourself a bath. A bath is a really big one for me. I love my scented candles, I love just candles in general, and just the kind of atmosphere that they have for me. Maybe taking yourself away from your phone can be a really important thing, just because social media can be great and it can unite us as a community. For me, the mental health community, I found a lot of solace in different pages, different links, and different communities through social media. But it can also remind us that there are other people that are functioning more than ourselves in that day, and that can make us feel unnecessarily guilty and bad about ourselves when you are doing the most you can. And just remind yourself you're doing the most you can, and you can't do any more than that. So maybe taking yourself away from your phone if you can, or at least away from your apps. I have a phone for apps and a phone for just the bare minimum work stuff, so I like to kind of just keep the bare minimum phone on me on those days so I can contact people if I choose to, but I'm not having it constantly slammed in my face that there are people that are finding it easier to function on a day where I'm maybe struggling a little bit. And then there are other ways you can treat yourself. Maybe just having food that's easy to prepare in your house, so you're not having to cook on a day where you don't have particularly a lot of energy, a lot of drive to do so, and having friends that you can confide in, being able to take a nap. I've taken a nap today, although I know I still could look quite tired, but that's where the bedhead's coming from. It's so important to recharge your batteries sometimes, and although it might make you feel, sometimes I feel guilty, I feel like I've wasted a day. I've come from being so busy earlier in the year to now having a little bit of time on my hands, and I almost feel bad about taking time for me, but you absolutely deserve it. Never tell yourself you don't deserve to take some time for you, because sometimes that can make all the difference to how you are feeling. A really good Instagram actually for boring self-care, as I've said, the things that maybe seem to be second nature but are actually really, really important, is Make Daisy Chains. So at Make Daisy Chains. Just give them a follow, and I found them really, really useful. And they post things in a variety of contexts. So there's a lot to do with, so a bit of trigger warning here, they have a lot to do with medication, they have a lot of sex positive content, they support things like people in all walks of life, so it's very much about equal rights and equality of supporting the mental health of pretty much everyone. So there's really good content on there, and I would really recommend following them. A lot of stuff on mental health with the mighty as well, has a lot of pro self-care tips, tips for when you're not feeling able to function particularly well, and I find them really helpful as well. Mental health with the mighty have really helped me. So I'm just trying to think if there's anything else. Obviously, if you're functioning a bit more, it's nice to plan nice things for yourself. I recently went for my first ever professional massage, and again, it's not vanity, it is self-care, because I'm a person that suffers with a lot of anxiety that gives me a lot of muscular tension. So to have a professional massage like that really helped relieve some of the toxins and just the nastiness in my body that comes from my mental health, because mental health, people forget sometimes, can really manifest itself in a very physical way. I called myself a dentist appointment recently because I've been grinding my teeth in my sleep because of my anxiety, and they're going to help me basically create a mouth guard from scratch that I can wear during my sleep, so that I'm not giving myself headaches and I'm not giving myself pain because of my anxiety that is then just increasing the anxiety and causing a really negative cycle there. So that's a really helpful thing, and a kind of self-care that might seem a little bit extra, but it's treating the roots of what is making you feel a bit more negatively, and hopefully stamping that out so that you can get back to you and the most important things to you. So I think that's all I have. I have written down some notes for once, which is rare for me. Yep, I think I've pretty much covered everything. Other little nice things I have, which I haven't written down but are really nice. I think I've probably got some here. I've got this memento jar. My friend Courtney made it for me. And I journal a lot. I have like 3 different journals on the go at the moment, just for nice memories. I've got a dream journal, which is really nice for reflecting upon maybe what's in your subconscious. And this memento jar is all about highlighting the positive things that have happened for you over this year. So as these things happen, or as you remember that something's happened, you write it down, you fold it up, and you put it in the jar. And then at the end of the jar, at the end of the year, you've got a nice jar to open full of lovely memories. And it's nice just to add to it as well, because it feels like you're contributing to something really positive. Reaching out to friends, even if just with a text message, if you're not feeling up to phone calls, someone can maybe come over and give you a much needed hug, because hugs are really revitalizing for me as well, the same way that naps can be. So yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. I think I've pretty much covered everything there. If you're feeling up to having a bit more energy and a bit more, life in you on a day, you can maybe try and declutter your space, because your space obviously is a place where you find a lot of sanctuary. I find a lot of sanctuary in my flat, even though sometimes I'm there a bit too often. It's nice to have a good space there, and my partner's really supportive of making sure that this space for me is clear. I mean, it's not spick and span, but whose flat is really, like, we're growing adults. We have busy lives. It's not to be felt guilty about if your place isn't spick and span, but just making sure that there isn't unnecessary clutter that's stressing you out. If you have letters that you haven't opened and you have lying around, maybe making sure that those are open and just going through those. And that can be a big task, that can be a more stressful one, but if you go through your letters, going through your emails, just decluttering your life in that way, going through your texts, maybe responding to ones you haven't responded to, that can be a really great way to get things off your mind that are maybe weighing you down. And yeah, I would say that probably builds some of the things that are most stressful for me. Things among opening texts and emails as well as checking my bank statement can be very anxiety provoking, but at the same time, once they're done, it does take a weight off. So those are all the self-care tips that I have for you today, and I hope that you've enjoyed today's video. I'll put some links below of just things that I find helpful and useful. I've got a lot of apps that I use that my GP has recommended to me that are really good for the times where I do need to take a nap or relax my muscles. Things like the Feeling Good app is really good. And I have a lot of friends that speak quite openly about mental health as well. My friend has a blog dedicated to issues around gender and issues around their own mental health, and I'll link to that below. Really, really informative stuff and really interesting to read someone's personal sort of experience on that. I have another friend, Dylan, that has a YouTube channel much like myself. They started way before I did, and I took a lot of inspiration from their really open way of discussing their own mental health, as well as their own journey with gender. They talk about a lot of issues within the LGBTQIA plus community, and it's really, really informative channel, and they speak really openly and inspirationally as well about a lot of issues that affect them. So I'll link both their blog and their channel below in my description of this video, and do check them out because they're really great people and may appear in future videos, because I'm really keen to get other people in the videos as well talking about their take on mental health. Because even though I have a lot of experience within my own sort of personal and academic life, I'm still learning. We're all still learning. And the most important thing is to be open to listening to other people's stories. So again, share your own stories below if you want to, and it's been great speaking to you guys. I'll see you soon. Love you. Bye.